YouTube is a massive platform with over 500 hours of videos uploaded to the site every minute of every day. Many achieve their own fame and pave the way for others. Those people form relationships, friendships, a dedicated fan base that will buy their merchandise and is willing to forgive them despite their mishaps. Some people form a dedicated group of hate watchers who will document every detail of their lives no matter how insignificant. And they label the person they document as a lolcow. And achieving that is far more difficult than anyone thinks. But today, I want to answer the question of what makes a lolcow. So we will dive into several examples of well-documented people who have achieved the title, and hopefully we will learn the answer together, and I will leave a link in the description from other YouTubers who documented the people I'll talk about in this video. Reminder, this piece of content is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do not harass anyone in this video.
I just have a lot of love to give, so if some random fucking ugly whore bitch gets groped, she gets groped. You should be fucking welcome, whore. You should be fucking honored that I would ever grope you, you stupid bitch.
I'm at my breaking point. You're effing trolls who have nothing else better to do! You guys have anything else better to do than check out your fat asses and your content universe!
Appearing offline does not fucking stop it. So stop giving fucking advice you know nothing about. I'm banning anybody trying to give me advice.
Oh, the camera's on. The camera's been on the whole time, huh? I don't even know.
Is this what we have to do? I'm asking you to leave. I'm asking you to leave, man. Please don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this.
You just leave us.
Ah, Mr. Thomas, you are hereby granted a Merry Christmas from your Uncle Gubsy. Uncle Gubsy says, Merry Christmas, Tom. Gub, 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 gub. Action.
Hello, my name is Barbara Chandler. I wish to wish Nicholas Cruz happy birthday.
Hey.
Please, buy Christine Chandler's merchandise to help us pay the mortgage. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My football looks really good since I lost a bit of weight. You miss my fat puss, don't you? Help my problem, G! I'm fucking awesome! Yeah, I hate myself. I hate white people for exploiting the rest of the world. I hate that I'm privileged. I fucking hate it. Despite everything that he said to me, I just want to be with him. Always. And I don't care about anyone else. I never do. I don't care.
Lolcows are described as a group of people or an individual who have abnormal behavior that can be milked for amusement. Most of the people who have been labeled don't necessarily deserve to be exploited to that extent. With that being said, some of them do. Our first example could be considered the beginning of lolcows. Chris Chan, the person behind Sonic Shoe and now known as Christine, assigned male at birth in 1982. Chris was born to Barbara, age 41 at the time, and Robert at 52. Her most infamous moments that brought her to stardom was when she created Sonic Shoe. Combining the two things Chris loved the most, Pikachu and Sonic, she made an entire comic series with adaptation from real-life incidents that sometimes paint Chris in a positive light. Digging deeper into these stories revealed that Chris isn't the most reliable narrator, as it was difficult for Chris to fit into their community college and form any sort of relationship. During English class, they were reading Wednesday's Child. The book talks about an autistic child who murders people. Chris then tells the college professor that she is also autistic, and this apparently got her removed from class. Having a conversation with Jackie, a girl she met on the Hook Cafe, where Chris says the topic of homosexuality came up and that she said some inappropriate comments, which was the real reason she was removed from the class. During this time, Chris began their quest for love. This was the beginning of the end for their college run, since Chris started putting up flyers requesting a love interest between the age of 18 to 21, average to slender body weight with high income. The flyer ends with Chris requesting all men with girlfriends, apart from married ones and black ones, to jump off a cliff. Chris was then removed from the college for soliciting sex on campus. At some point, she made a medallion that she wore all the time and made it easy to recognize her in public. In late 2007, a tabletop game store known as The Game Place, where an employee released photos of Chris, which ended up in 4chan, where she was mocked for her fashion sense and appearance. This enraged Chris, and she began to pester the Game Place workers about the security camera so they can find the culprit who took the photo. And to the shock of no one, they weren't very cooperative. After complaining to her mother, her parents visited the store and interrogated one of the employees until he admitted to snapping the photo, but claimed to have no idea how it ended up on the internet. So after scaring small children, singing loudly, picking fights with other players, and generally being a racist, homophobic, and sexist creep, Chris gets banned from the store. This resulted in many emails and a YouTube apology video in hopes of anyone from the gameplay sees it and lifts the ban. In late 2014, Chris transitioned to female and began identifying as a lesbian woman. The internet speculated that this decision was made to expand Chris's dating pool. Even if that's true, it ended up failing because in 2021, Chris was arrested for having intercourse with his senile mother. A person I only know as Bella leaked a call with Chris where she admitted to these heinous acts. This was over the course of several weeks, which turned my stomach learning about it, as it should for everyone else. Chris was arrested on August 1st and released from prison in March 27, 2023. Christine still has a Twitter account where she reviews movies and sometimes subtweets about people taking photos of her. But just because you're the first lolcow and the most documented person on the internet doesn't mean you have the answer to what makes a lolcow. From this, we can speculate anyone with autism can be a lolcow, but that'd be too cruel and untrue. So let's find another example and see if we can glean an answer from them. My introduction to YouTube, like many others, was through Call of Duty videos.
Oh, I'm a fuck. What do you want me to use? You fuck you. What? I don't have to leave, you fucking nigger.
Thug life. You're not a thug. You're a wannabe.
You don't even own at the game. Your name is owned, bro. You haven't even owned anybody. Shut the up.
A man named Jordy, known by Wings of Redemption, came onto the scene and had gotten a shout out from other commentary channels that helped him reach over 100,000 subscribers. A few of his most notable moments that attracted many trolls and hate watchers to Jordy began back in 2011 when he had a 1v1 against Pro Syndicate. The match was anticipated because Jordy was very arrogant in the Painkiller Already podcast, where he claimed that Syndicate is an inferior multiplayer gamer compared to himself, due to the fact that Syndicate plays zombies. His co-hosts on the podcast at the time, Woody's gamertag and FPS Kyle, or FPS Russia, set up a match where Jordy was winning at the start, but began to lose his cool when he was losing. When he knew he had no chances of winning, Jordy smashed his controller and berated his co-host.
Fuck! Why the fuck you stream that shit?
After the match, Syndicate posted screenshots of Jordy trying to bribe him by splitting the money for a rematch if he threw the game. In 2017, Wings had a mental breakdown due to a stream sniper who kept joining his lobbies and insulting him and throwing smoke bombs at him to ruin his experience in the game. After appearing offline and leaving some games, the trolling didn't stop, and people began to give him advice on how to stop it, giving us the very famous clip where he screamed,
"Look here! Look here! Look, listen! Appearing offline does not fucking stop it, so stop giving fucking advice you know nothing about."
This resulted in Wings throwing his controller at the wall and leaning against it before punching a hole in it. Jordy then began to cry, saying he can't take it anymore. This was the start for many highlight channels to appear and continue to take clips from his stream and troll him until it was enough. Overwhelmed by the trolling, he began taking Lexapro, a medicine designed to help his mood swings and mental breakdowns. And this helped for a while as he stopped reacting to trolls by placing a band-aid on a knife wound. Because after a year of taking the drug, it became less effective and his anger returned. In 2023, he and Boogie2988 had a boxing fight where Boogie's pants had to be taped to his body to prevent them from falling off. This was a very entertaining fight and gave both of them some respect for providing such entertainment for everyone in every community. So from this perspective, a lolcow can be seen as someone who's overweight and overly emotional at times. But that's not true either, considering the next person flip-flops the most between being hated to being loved. When Steven started making YouTube videos, he was being financially supported by a friend. According to him, YouTube gave his life meaning. His videos range from rants to serious topics and a lot of video game focused news, considering it's what he loved the most. He created a character named Francis that spoke with odd mannerism, and it was a parody for every nerdy gamer stereotype he can think of. Steven wanted people to hate the character, and while there was several people who weren't in on the joke, who did hate Francis, a lot of people loved him and his rants. In 2016, Boogie won the Trending Gamer Award, a highlight in his online career, but from then on, his success would take a downward trajectory. In August of 2017, he had weight loss surgery, which dropped him from 500 pounds to 348, the lowest he's ever been since his high school graduation in 1992. Life seemed like it was turning around for Boogie until December of 2017, when he announced that he and his wife are getting a divorce. In 2018, Boogie gave a statement on the H3H3 podcast about LGBT rights, saying while he does support gay rights, he doesn't believe that the equality should be given at once, but at a slower pace. In 2019, he made a YouTube video saying how he's rich now and has a lot of money because of crypto and Bitcoin. But in 2022, he made another video saying he lost all his money and needs help. E-begging is not new for Boogie, since he has been lying and manipulating his audience for years on YouTube and Twitch. Due to his terrible spending habits, in 2023, a well-made documentary about Boogie shed light on his expenses, where he justifies spending over $40,000 a month on sex workers, saying that he deserves an LA 10 and not an Arkansas 8. But is being over 40 and have terrible spending habits justify being a lolcow? Could be, considering the next person.
Being very honest and a heads up, I am really badly off financially right now. Incredibly just out of money, not even lying. So any tips that you lend during the streams, I'm gonna put straight towards Bill. I promise you, I am really bad financially.
Phil is the embodiment of entitlement. Despite being horrible at video games and not being able to finish most playthroughs and generally being lazy at editing his content, he treats his audience terribly. It's surprising he has any real viewers. His inability to take any sort of responsibility or criticism gets tiring to hear. In 2005, Evolution Championship Series held a tournament for Street Fighter II Turbo, where Phil competed and had gotten 4th place, technically making him the #1 American Street Fighter II Turbo champion. However, the port for the game wasn't well made. It had many issues, which resulted in a lot of pro players not competing. To Phil, he saw this as bragging rights, which caused a lot of hate towards him. And like Wings of Redemption, a highlight channel appeared that took videos from Phil's channel and titled it, "This is not how you play blank." The series showcased moments where Phil is blaming the game, the controls, or the controller, but never saying he's not good enough to finish the game. Besides e-begging his viewers for rent money and constantly telling them to donate, otherwise the stream will end, several people claimed that Phil had spent over $10,000 on the WWE Champions mobile game. Of course, Phil denies it, but his most infamous moment was during a live stream where Phil seemed to have been losing his gooning streak. This moment was talked about across every platform, and this could have been a moment where he turned it into merchandise and made profit from it. This wouldn't be the first time where someone blew up because of a meme and they took the opportunity to make shirts, mugs, and hats from it. But to no one's surprise, DSP denies it to this day. So what can we glean from Phil is that being a lolcow is to never take responsibility and always blame others for your problems. But that's not 100% true, since the next person on the list has no one to blame but himself. With a mixture of animal abuse, elder abuse, racism, and alcoholism, we get the once skilled Call of Duty creator onlyusemeblade, Brian Rizzo. He became popular for exactly what his name is, using only knives in a first-person shooter. Brian had many moments to turn his life around, just like everyone on this list, but Blade was the only person who had a friend try and care for him. However, he never cared for his friends, his fans, or even respected their relationships. The constant disrespect shown by Blade made him disliked by his peers. Brian started becoming infamous for his drinking in 2015, but said he has been drinking before that and only ramped it up in 2014 to a point where it made him sick. In 2018, the IRL streamer Ice Poseidon threw a party where other streamers invited their fans, and Blade invited one of his biggest fans along with his wife. While everyone partied upstairs, Brian was in the basement of the house with the married woman, drunkenly kissing and groping her the entire night. At some point, the husband walks downstairs and sees them and in shock, turns around and walks away, only to return a few minutes later to share a drink and leave them both alone, and they go back to making out like nothing happened. Another moment is when Blade forced himself on an unconscious woman in an RV, and whenever he got drunk, he would brag about it and he'll say he'll do it again, claiming that women should be honored to be groped by him. Possibly the saddest moment circling Blade was a man with a heart and nerve damage due to a car accident known as Willie. He was a fan of Brian and had taken drugs to help with his health problems. But when he received an invite from Blade to his streamer house, it turned fatal. After he was given too many drinks, Willie collapsed to the floor, with donations begging the drunkards to call an ambulance and telling them that Willie is actively dying in their hands. They ignored it and painted on his face for an hour before paramedics arrived. Shortly after Willie's passed away, many say Blade is responsible, while others say it was Willie's own doing. Regardless of how you feel about either of those people, someone in the chat tried to save him. If any one of them had been slightly more aware of what's happening, then maybe Willie would still be alive. If anyone on this list deserved to be exploited for laughter and mockery, I would say all of them to a certain extent, but I truly feel no remorse towards Christine and Brian. But personal feelings aside, I don't think Blade has the answer to what makes a lolcow. If he did, then we can just target anyone who can't stop drinking. We can start with Bert Kreischer, but it'd be too easy. And if we look at the list so far, everyone has been over 40 years old. So the answer can't be anyone who's old and embarrassing to be associated with. Not at all, since the next person on the list is no older than 25. With the smallest digital footprint on this list, Gabriel Gage, known by novaonline, gained recognition for his cringeworthy content and food reviews. Most of the things he was exposed for were on his own Discord server, which no longer exist, where photos and videos of him released to the public where he was seen wearing diapers and having a pacifier in his mouth. Age regression is a form of therapy that encourages you to access and relive your memories by reverting to a younger state of mind. With that being said, it's extremely weird and off-putting to look at. While I am not one to knock someone else's ways of healing, I don't think this should be publicized. If anyone uses it as a form of therapy, then it should be kept private like any other therapy session. But there have been interviews and articles about age regressors, and I still find it off-putting from all angles. Many age regressors sexualize this form of therapy. Gabriel claims that he doesn't. Later, a video of Nova was released where he was allegedly talking to a 14-year-old in a baby voice while he was 18. He later went on a live stream denying everything and insulting the trolls who were posting the screenshots, just like the past lolcows on the list. History truly repeats itself, but considering there have been many channels that covered Nova, there isn't much for me to share apart from the fact that he's the youngest lolcow on the list. But everyone on here was either a male at some point or is a male, so does that mean lolcows are gender locked? Well, let's hope the next example on the list will give the answer we seek. Chantal Sorrelt, also known as Foodie Beauty or Miriam, has been a Canadian YouTuber since 2014. What initially started as a beauty channel quickly became infamous for eating enormous portions of food, mostly combined with outrageous or simply stupid monologues. As of the end of May 2024, Chantal's Kiwi Farm thread has over 8,900 pages, filled with history that she constantly tries to rewrite, fueled by her own delusions. What started as an overweight woman in a long-term relationship that tried to dip her toes in a mukbang ends with a fair competition for my 600-pound life participant wrapped in hijab and on the way to losing her fur due to untreated diabetes. Considering the #1 rule when it comes to foodie is Chantal lies. It may be hard to confirm some of the information, while others were well documented and archived. I mean, 8,000 pages don't come out of nowhere. Being a product of underage pregnancy and not having a father in her life, Chantal spent most of her childhood in her grandmother's house, being left to her own devices and various snacks. A single child until her mother finally got married and gave birth to a second daughter. Foodie was never happy about having to share anybody's attention, allegedly putting her own baby sister in the dryer, making her stay in the corridor while watching TV, or throwing a tantrum over food. She didn't get better as she got older. While in high school, she met her first fiance, whom she also worked with at the same call center, who also got pregnant with and had an abortion with, and she cheated on him later. Keeping her ex-fiance as a friend to this day, Foodie entered a 7-year-old relationship with BB, possibly the best man that she ever met. But since karma got to her eventually, they broke up shortly after she created her YouTube channel. BB wanted to have children, but Foodie didn't, so she alleged she had a hysterectomy. But we can only assume that not wanting to get a job and sneakily eating huge amount of foods at 5 AM while being on one of her many diets could have something to do with it. Constantly being on and off various diets, Chantal rented a house with her ex-fiance, and her most unhinged arc began. Talking about mass murder and suicide while wearing a cheap pink wig, eating greasy food, and making fun of victims' shoes was in the past. With a new man she met on a dating app came drug addiction, which she denied for weeks. Driving back and forth from Canada to Quebec during COVID, Foodie tried to sell her audience a throbbing love story, omitting one detail. The man she called Dom didn't even want her and mostly tolerated her presence after Chantal got paid. She was getting paid around 20,000 Canadian dollars during her peak. Addicted to meth, attention, and flaunting around that she has a boyfriend, Foodie managed to dox both Dom's real name and a phone number of the person who tried to warn her about him. Calling Dom loving, caring, a good cook, and faithful, at the end of the day, the only thing she had was throat gonorrhea, meth pipe lip burns, and a broken heart. After introducing Dom to YouTube and creating a channel for him, Chantal got dumped for one of her own viewers. She tried to get him back by filing domestic violence and sexual assault charges, dropping them, and engaging in a threesome with him and the woman Dom claimed as his partner. Foodie couldn't get him back, even though she tried to provide a fake alibi for the time he allegedly sexually assaulted someone. Taking the L, Chantal packed and went to Cuba, providing us with her signature rage.
I'm getting married, by the way. Oh yeah, mini banana. Let's go get some cheese sandwiches. No, I'm not having fun!
I'm marrying Renee and he's moving in with me with his son. I need kids. I need a fucking son. And I love Renee. He's fucking hot. He eats me out from behind. He don't care how fat the pussy is. He's not afraid of it.
Oh. It was hard to tell which was worse, this or her pump-up cake stream.
Pretty much it would never...
Rare.
It's very rare. But it happens in the U.S. In the fucking U.S. Fuck you. The parents that lost their children.
Somewhere between being outed as an animal abuser and slapping a hijab on, Foodie found a new love that was true and certainly not a scam to get to Canada. Being tricked into giving away her cat to the same woman that tried to warn her before, trying to convince her audience that it was perfectly normal for an elderly cat to have kidney infection and nails growing into its paws. Chantel packed her bags, flew to Kuwait, and started anew. As a pious married Muslim who still uses drugs every now and then, doesn't know which direction to pray, and eats even more food than before, Foodie doesn't shy away from showing all her medical documentation, but for some reason finds her marriage certificate too private, trying to convince us that her regular trips have nothing to do with her visa renewal and that she is perfectly capable of managing her health. Even though her blood sugar suggests that syrup runs through her veins, Chantel hops between being Foodie Beauty and Mariam with the support of her loving husband that, by the way, started sexting yet another viewer of his wife, dropping some indiscreet bombshells about his sexual preferences the second Chantel entered a plane to Canada. Scat. The dude is into scat and heavy degrading, especially on religious and ethic grounds. It's very hard to tell who got their karma in this relationship. As of today, Chantel is still in Kuwait with diabetes confirmed and delusions overflowing. Since she is more concerned about being pitied and patted on the ass than actually taking care of herself, the majority of people who still watch her are just waiting for the season finale. So, to give a clear answer on what makes a lolcow, it's fairly simple to whittle it down to one simple factor that everyone on this list shares. None of them decided to take accountability and continue to lie and blame others, and simply refuse to leave the internet. There are people in this world who do the exact same thing that these people do, some worse than others, but those people are unknown. They live their lives privately, away from prying eyes. The people on this list know exactly what the internet thinks of them. They know all the articles, the videos, the posts. They probably browse Kiwi Farm more than anyone I know. And as I said before, you have to mess up really badly to be considered a lolcow, because people tend to move on when they see that you're a responsible adult. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I probably won't make another commentary video like this for a while, unless this does crazy numbers, then obviously I'll dip more than my toes. A special thank you goes out to Anxiety for helping me write this and the entire lord up of Foodie Beauty. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.